What it do, YouTube? Have it come and see you, Captain Awesome's Fish Room. I wish I could have like a show tune made out to say that, guys. I mean, it's just catchy to me. Few things I want to show you, then we're going to get inside an info video, show y'all, you know, a little trick of the trade, especially if you're a new hobbyist ordering online. So, you know, pay attention, guys. You know, maybe you'll learn something new or old, you never know. You know, it's definitely something that I found very helpful to know. I actually came up with this technique myself. As far as it ever being used before, I really couldn't tell you. You know, I kind of went with things that I knew, and you know, kind of went from there as to you know, how to fix things. You know, with this type of problem. First and foremost, I want to do an update on a fish that I have inside the fish room. You know, the Eccyclosoma feste. They're all doing fantastic. Still don't have a light on here. I'll be adding a light today. You know, possibly, you know, showing y'all that. I'm going to feed them a little bit of, let's see, what is this? Hikari. I'm going to feed them a little bit of Hikari, let y'all see them eat. They're ferocious eaters. They're just doing awesome, guys. You know, definitely just whipped back into good health. All of their fins have pretty much grown back. Not a sign of the fungus stuff that I was telling y'all about. Just not even a little even sign of it. So yeah, there's a little feeding video of them. And then, of course, the guys inside the 40 breeder, you can see one right there already starting to turn a little bit red. You know, they're doing fantastic, along with the Freddies and Mr. Micro Machine over there. Now, one other thing I want to show y'all is check out this green hair algae, guys. I know a lot of y'all don't like algae and stuff like that, but guys, I'll tell you what, when you got fry or juvenile fish inside of a tank, this stuff is awesome. I mean, look at the thickness of it. You know, it's awesome stuff. Okay, and of course I know that you don't want to have it inside a planted tank, guys, but I mean, this stuff is, I mean, just full of microorganisms, nutrients, and you know, it just shows that you have, you know, one, that you have nutrients in the water and stuff, but you know, it's really good for juvenile and fry, you know, to eat on and munch on, especially if you have Africans. So you know, it's a really cool thing to have inside your tank. Of course, you can see that, you know, I don't have any on the plants in there. You know, as far as how I do that, guys, that is a completely new video. So, you know, but let's get to the beast at hand here. I want to go over how to save a bad shipment. A few of y'all have been expecting this video. You know, even charging me up a little bit about it, you know, in a good way, guys. You know, I like y'all to stay on me about the videos. Keeps me motivated, and you know, stuff like that. And I could have been more well prepared here. These are oh, wrong one. These are a few things that I recommend you have on hand all the time inside your fish room. You know, of course, you have your reagent test kits for a more accurate reading. But guys, I'll tell you what, these little dipstick test kits come in a lot. I mean, they come in very handy, you know, just to do a quick test to get an idea of what's going on. And then once we start going over the importance of how to save a bad shipment, you'll see why these come in, you know, very handy. And then a water conditioner. Guys, I always recommend Seachem products. Prime and Safe, definitely the best water conditioners out there, especially for this purpose, okay? And I'll tell you why. Prime and Safe, the difference between the two is the Safe is the same thing, it's just more concentrated, so a smaller amount does more. But right here you can see right on the bottle it removes chlorine, chloramine, and ammonia. Okay, remember that, guys. Remember ammonia because that's really important. Detoxifies nitrate or nitrite and nitrate and provides slime coat. Okay, that's important as well. Now, when you get a shipment in and you open the box and the fish are at the bottom of the bag, not much movement, you know, just looking really just in bad shape, you know, belly up, you know, you don't even know if any of them are alive, but you get a little bit of movement out of the bag. The first thing that a lot of people want to do is open up the bag and add an air stone. Guys, that is the worst thing you can do, and let me tell you why. Whenever any shipment comes in, rather, the pH is slammed in that bag, okay? The pH is dropped extremely low. Well, I mean, it's dropped, okay? It's dropped to what they're used to. But it happened over a course of a shipping period, so it wasn't as detrimental. Now, more delicate species don't ship well for that reason, okay? Now, when you ship fish, guys, ammonia is going to build up in that bag because remember, you know, I showed y'all that, well, I didn't really show you, but I explained to y'all that the most ammonia that comes from fish is actually from them breathing. You know, all of the ammonia that come from fish is from their gills. Comes out of their gills. It's a waste product of them breathing. Okay? Whenever they urinate, guys, that's almost pure water, okay? Especially in fresh water. And whenever they defecate, the feces, when it breaks down, of course that's going to create nitrogenous waste, such as ammonia. But it's going to take a little bit of time for that stuff to break down, decompose, and start creating that ammonia. So, you know, as far as next day or, you know, second day shipping, you really don't have to worry about, you know, the fish defecating and causing ammonia that way. They're in such a small volume of water when they're shipped that them breathing causes the most ammonia. Now, the reason that the ammonia doesn't really affect them as much when they're shipped is because the pH dropped. At a lower pH, ammonia is less toxic than at a higher pH. And that goes for nitrite and nitrate as well, guys. When the pH is lower, it is less toxic. Now, whenever you open the bag and you add an air stone, you're immediately oxygenating that water, causing the pH to raise with an ammonia spike in that bag. That can instantly kill fish, guys. That's why you don't want to immediately add an air stone as soon as you open the bag after shipping. What you want to do is open the bag and then put them in a bucket. Now, a lot of people, they do what I call the double bucket drip. That's where they have two containers. They have a smaller container inside of a bigger one, and then they proceed to drip. They put the fish inside the smaller container, and then what they do is they drip into that smaller container and it overflows, eventually putting only tank water in here. And you still want to net them because there's still going to be a little bit of residue of the shipping water. But that's actually, I mean, that's a really good way to do it. That's not the way I prefer to do it. And for no particular reason, of course that's easier, but you know, I'm just old school. I like doing it with a single bucket. You know, I like taking the water out. That way I can, you know, I can measure it better to me. So whichever way you use, this way will work. Now, once you get them inside your bucket ready to acclimate, you want to have your drip line prepared. And generally all a drip line is, guys, is some air hose. And a drip acclimator, or a, you know, you can even use one of those air line restrictors where you can restrict the amount of air that goes through, guys. That'll make a good drip rate too. Now, as far as the drip rate that you want to do, we'll get into that in a minute, but before you start anything, once you get your bucket, your drip line, and then you get the fish in the bucket, what you want to do is you immediately want to detoxify any ammonia or nitrite inside that water. This is where the prime comes in. Okay, now if you're doing next day shipping, guys, you probably won't get a bad shipment. I've seen it happen, but it's extremely rare at best. Okay, this is normally going to happen on second, and whoever ships fish third day, it'll definitely happen more often then. But these little handy dandy dip sticks, you can dip them in there, see the ammonia and nitrite content. You know, but a good practice is to just go ahead and get your prime, go ahead and get your safe, and go ahead and, you know, do a capful in there, guys. That's what I do. With a bad shipment, I got the fish in the bucket, and if it doesn't come with enough water in the bag, guys, you can tilt the bucket and put something underneath it right there to where it's tilted and there is enough water for the fish to swim. But you go ahead and dump your cap full of prime or get you a little pinch of safe, and go ahead and put it in that water. What that's going to do is detoxify any ammonia or any nitrite inside the water. Then you want to start your drip. Now this is a really important part, guys. With your drip, you don't want to go too terribly fast because remember the pH has dropped in that bag. Now, as far as your drip rate, you want you want a good solid drip, but you don't want it to be too fast. This right here is about as fast as you want it, which is about 2 drops a second. And you can even slow it down a little bit to where it's about 1 drop per second. That's optimum right there with a bad shipment, guys. And this is going to take a while, especially with the really bad shipment where the fish are just, you thought they were all dead, okay? Now, you're going to want to drip them, and as soon as the water doubles itself, guys, take it right back down to where it was when you first put the water inside the bucket. At this point, you might, instead of tilting the bucket to give the fish more room to swim around, you might want to fill it up to where the fish can swim around at the bottom of the bucket with it laying flat. But if you have enough water in the bucket, go ahead and once it looks like it doubled, go ahead and take that water level right back down to where it was. Okay? Now, this is a slow process to save fish, and I'll tell you why. Is because they're already on the verge of dying because of shipping conditions, and then you add them inside a completely new environment. Completely different water chemistry, completely different water parameters, all that stuff, guys. So you want to take it really, really slow. The average 10, 15, 20-minute acclimation will not work here. That's why you want a really slow drip, and like I said, you want about 1 drop per second with that. That's a little bit too fast. It's kind of hard to do. This right here is perfect, guys. You want to drip it about like that, and then once it doubles itself, take the water out, and then let it drip to where it goes halfway in the bucket, okay? Now, of course, there may be other ways to do this, guys, but this is the way I save fish, and it works every time for me. Okay, and then once it gets halfway, you want to take it down to 1/4, and then just keep doing it up to about halfway, taking it back down to 1/4 over about a 2 to 3 hour period. Now, if they're in really bad shape, guys, you're going to want to do what I like to call a declimation. That's where it takes about a day to acclimate these fish. And what I do in that point, just like I did with the first group of Feste that I got in, that I saved 7 of them out of 14, is I set my drip rate extremely slow, about like that, okay? And just like I showed y'all a minute ago, and what I did is I did exactly what I explained over a 24-hour period. And like I said, guys, if you spend a lot of money on fish, or you really care about the fish that you got in, which you should, it's definitely worth the extra time, and I promise you, you'll definitely save at least 30% of your order, okay? Now, if you ordered 1 to 2 fish, that probably won't be an issue because, the buildup in that small of a bag won't be, too bad. So, that's how you do it, guys. That's how I do it. And, another side note is as soon as I get a shipment in, the first thing I do is I get one of my dipsticks here, and you can see I have a ton of them. I get one of the dipsticks and I immediately check the ammonia content, even if it's a good shipment, simply because the pH does drop in a shipment, okay? And ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate are less toxic at a lower pH level than a higher pH level. And I test that, and of course I always add prime and safe. So really the key factor to acclimating a bad shipment is doing what I like to call a declimation. So hope that explained it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. You know, please remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. And we'll see y'all next time. Adios, folks.